Heat forward Caleb Martin has seemingly taken the basketball world by storm, but where exactly did he come from, and how did he end up with the Miami Heat? Let's find out. Caleb Martin played high school at the powerhouse of his school, Oak Hill Academy, along with his twin brother, Cody Martin. Previously, he and his brother played 3 seasons at Davie County High School, but Oak Hill Academy is notoriously known for producing NBA-level talents, such as basketball genius Rajon Rondo, Carmelo Anthony, Brandon Jennings, and current Spur Keldon Johnson. He was a solid football player as well and played his freshman year of high school, but his true passion lived and died with basketball. So he would go on to commit to North Carolina State with his brother. In his first season, he would average just around 5 points per game while shooting a horrific 30% from 3. Not to mention, he only started in 1 of the 36 games played. But things would drastically change in his sophomore season with NC State. He started in 19 of the 33 games he played in, playing around 30 minutes per night as opposed to his 16 minutes in his freshman season. He upped his scoring to 11.5 points per game while increasing his shooting percentage to 36%. Next season, things would go to another level, but he wouldn't do it in an NC State uniform. You see, he and his brother decided to transfer to Nevada for their final 2 seasons of college basketball. The reasoning for the switch isn't totally clear, but they believed, especially Caleb, that they were better equipped playing in the Mountain West. In his junior year with his new team, he would become a star for the Wolfpack. He averaged 18 points and 5 rebounds while shooting an impressive 40% from 3 and 45% from the field. And surely, he was going to be entering the NBA draft after a season like that, right? Well, the short answer is a big fat no. He tested the waters and even went through the draft process, but he and his brother would both withdraw from the draft and announce they would be returning for their senior year at Nevada. There aren't many reports explaining his reasoning, especially after having such a great year, and not to mention he led his team to 26 wins along with a Sweet 16 appearance. And this decision would go on to haunt him, at least for a while. In his senior season, while he did end up averaging 19 points, his efficiency dropped drastically. He shot 33% from 3, 73% from the free throw line, and 40% from the field. All of his percentages dropped from the season previous. And what made it worse was he was 23 years old now. With his efficiency dropping and his age increasing, that made him not so attractive to many NBA teams. So little, in fact, that there was a near 0% chance he would get drafted. And as we all know now, that would be the case. Caleb Martin went undrafted. And honestly, I really believe he would have been a pick in the draft if he didn't withdraw in his junior year. His numbers and team success were just too good for NBA teams to ignore. And let's not forget, he made the Mountain West All-Defensive First Team and led the conference in steals. But everything happens for a reason. After going undrafted, he would be signed by the greatest organization of all time, the Charlotte Hornets. Sorry. I couldn't help it, Hornets fans. It's too easy. In his rookie year, things didn't go so well. He averaged just 6 points in 17 minutes and only played 17 games due to safety and protocol reasons. He was nothing more than a mediocre hustle player who would make a good play every blue moon. His sophomore campaign, he would be just that again. He played 53 games and would average even less points. 5 to be exact. To make matters worse, he shot 24% from 3 and 37% from the field. The Hornets had had enough, and they decided to waive the 25-year-old to make room for younger players with higher potential. You know things are looking down when the Hornets say you're not good enough to be on their team. But here's where things start to get interesting, because in the late summer of 2021, Caleb was without a team. That was until someone suggested to Pat Riley that they should bring him to South Beach for a workout. And that someone was none other than J. Cole, one of the greatest hip-hop artists of all time. You see, Cole and Heat's assistant coach Caron Butler had a great relationship, which is said to have started after J. Cole dropped his name in a song back in 2010. This is what Caron had to say about their bond. "We have a lot of relationships across the board. As a former player, I used to always pride myself on building relationships before it was a thing." So, without J. Cole's phone call, we most likely would not have seen Martin in a Heat uniform. And this turned out to be pretty great for the then 26-year-old, because he would average 9 points and shoot over 40% from 3 while playing solid defense in his first year with the Heat. He was basically the perfect role player, but his career would take another step in the right direction the following season, this year. While his numbers did decrease as he was given more minutes, his hustle and ability to fit into the Heat system didn't go unnoticed, and this would pay off huge in the playoffs. That now brings us to the 2023 NBA playoffs. He played solid in the first two series versus the Bucks and the Knicks, but in the Eastern Conference Finals versus the Celtics is where he would play at an all-star level and officially put the NBA world on notice. He would average nearly 20 points while shooting 49% from three and 60% from the field. Absolutely insane efficiency. He was the best player on the Heat, playing alongside two certified All-Stars in Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, and former All-Star and veteran Kyle Lowry, which makes it all the more impressive. And speaking of Jimmy, here's what he had to say about Martin after the Boston series. To the untrained eye, he just looks like he's an undrafted guy who has been in the G League, who has started with Charlotte, and now he's here. Started on a two-way contract, that's what it looks like to y'all. To us, he's a hell of a player, hell of a defender, playmaker, shot maker, all of the above. Jimmy Buckets is right. He's a heck of a player. But what really makes Caleb Martin the perfect role player? Let's break down his game to find out. First is his shooting ability. Like I mentioned, he shot nearly 50% from three versus Boston on 6 attempts. So there's one reason right there. But the thing is, he's never been an elite three-point shooter, or even a high-volume shooter. In his 4 seasons, the most threes he's ever taken was 3.3 per game, which was this season. He's one of those players who always seems to make timely shots, and that tends to make a player look like a better shooter than they actually are. But at the same time, that can also do the opposite. Because when you shoot only a couple of threes per game, it's hard to really decide whether or not you're a quality shooter. Shooting 40% from 3 on 2 attempts versus shooting 40% on 6 or 7 attempts is an entirely different story. But if I had to make a decision on whether or not he's the real deal despite his low volume on the season, the answer would be absolutely. And the Boston series proved that. Sure, it was only one series, but shooting that well for 7 straight games isn't an accident. A bad or even average shooter is never going to shoot 50% from 3 on 6 attempts through 7 games. It really is that simple. Now, as an overall scorer, he showed the ability to create his own shot consistently in Game 7 versus the Celtics. And that was kind of unusual though, because he isn't known to be a go-to one-on-one player. But we've now seen that he has that capability if needed, which just adds to his versatility as an offensive player. He also has a solid handle to get inside the paint, and he has the toughness to hit difficult shots. As a passer, while he isn't going to get you 6 assists per night or anything, he is a really good decision maker, and he's highly unselfish. Sometimes, that's all you can ask for. On the boards, he was a monster in Game 6 and 7 versus Boston. In Game 7, he had 10 rebounds, and in Game 6, he grabbed a ridiculous 15. All while standing at just 6'5". His hustle is top tier, and that along with his shooting, decision-making, and decent shot creating ability is a large part of why he's such a great role player. And on the other end of the floor, he's just as good. Defense is what makes him a complete role player. This should not surprise anyone because remember, he made the all-defensive team back in college while leading the conference in steals. He's not a Drew Holiday on the defensive end, but he does everything right and then some. The intensity and pressure that he plays with on most possessions is enough to bother even the best scorers in the NBA. And he has good size, weighing over 200 pounds with a 6'10" wingspan. Those measurables, along with his underrated defensive instincts, allow him to be pretty versatile and able to defend 2 or 3 positions at a solid level. Overall, Caleb Martin has come a very long way and has put in the work and hustled his butt off in the gym to be in the position he's in now. The 27-year-old has found a home in South Florida, and now he's playing in the NBA Finals while knowing he was arguably the #1 reason why they've even made it there. Win, lose, or draw, Martin's story is an inspiring one, and it's a prime example of staying ready until your name is called. And, oh yeah, it helps having a musical genius in J. Cole as your friend. Connections are everything. But what do you think about Caleb Martin? Let us know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.